What is the best exercise ever, and what is the worst exercise ever? All right, we have exercise face-off. Sean's going to keep one exercise, then Sean's going to kill one exercise when it comes to muscle growth. And these exercises, guys, it's going to be involved in the same muscle group. We got Sean here, we got Bubs here. You ready to go?
Let's go.
Let's do it. So first one's going to be chest, and we're going to pick between a dumbbell bench press and an incline chest press. You got to pick one, you got to kill one.
Okay, so if we're talking incline dumbbell press, I would choose that one. The reason I would choose that one, you get to work the chest, the upper chest, the shoulders, and you get a lot more variability as well. I think both are actually really good exercises, to be perfectly honest. But if we're talking about building muscle, building the chest, building the shoulders, for me personally, not only do I prefer the way it feels, but I think it's a better overall hypertrophy exercise than the flat dumbbell chest press.
I would agree with you, sir. All right, second one. This is going to be a challenging one for you, but I got two good ones. You got to kill one, you got to keep one. One arm row and the pull-up.
I had a feeling you were going to ask this one, which is kind of jokes. For the average person, you got to go one arm row. I think you can load it. I think it's easier to do. I think you can stabilize yourself. There's just way more ways to have variability, and you can kind of adjust it and modify it. If I had to choose one for hypertrophy, for building muscle, I would have to go the single arm row. With that being said, for those who are really good with pull-ups, I do think it's an absolute elite back exercise. But if I got to choose one, generally speaking, you got to go the single arm row. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I kind of suckered you too, because I'm sure Sean agrees. Like when it comes to building the back, we really want to maximize two main movements, which is like a vertical pull and a horizontal pull, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you got one of each. It's kind of like pick your poison.
Exactly. So I agree with Sean. I'd go slightly one arm row, but both fantastic exercises to do, guys. All right, you ready for another tough one?
Let's go.
Overhead dumbbell press or barbell, just any sort of overhead press versus a lateral raise. You gotta kill one, and you gotta choose one here.
I think those are the two best shoulder exercises, by the way. So they're both really, really good. I would go lateral raise. The reason I would is just because there's so few exercises that target the outside part of the shoulder there. And that's really going to be the muscle that really makes your frame look a lot broader, makes your shoulders look a lot bigger. And there's so few exercises that do that. And the lateral raise is an elite exercise for doing that. So I would do both. But if I had to choose one, I would keep the lateral raise and I would kill the overhead press.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3 so far. So I just think, guys, like, when it comes to overhead press, you can get a lot of that from like an incline press. Not the same, of course, because it biases more the chest. The front part of the shoulders get worked a lot in specific movements, but like Sean said, and I think he said it perfectly, not many movements really kind of target the side delt, and the lateral raise is one of the few movements that do. So that's why if I had to choose, I would kill the overhead press as well, and I would keep the lateral raise. All right, this one is actually, in my opinion, maybe the toughest, but you got to choose between an incline bench curl, so with dumbbells, incline bench curl, versus hammer curls. Kill one, choose one.
For me, it's not that challenging. I would choose hammer curl. I would choose hammer curl because you do work the same muscles that you're working with an incline curl, but you also get to work more brachialis, the outside part of the arm. Just like we were talking about with the lateral raise, this is one of those small muscles that really makes your arms look bigger, and it's kind of a cheat code to work that. I get it. You don't get the same type of tension. You don't get the same kind of stretch that you would get with an incline curl. So I do think it has its merits, but in my opinion, I think the hammer curl is definitely superior. I prefer doing it, and I would also recommend my clients doing it over the incline. I know you're a big fan of the incline, so.
Yeah, so like this is honestly a coin flip for me, and this is probably the hardest one. I did choose hammer curl for the reason Sean said, because it does target more the outside part of the biceps, which you really, like, you can still get a little bit of incline bench curl, but not to the same extent. Where it's kind of torn is, like, the bicep itself is obviously more mass opposed to like the brachialis. So if you really want to choose, get that peak of the bicep, you can definitely argue that bench curls can be better for it. But there is an overlap, of course, too, with the hammer curl. But yeah, I'll go slightly hammer curl, but you can make an argument either way, I would say. All right, next one we have triceps. We got skull crushers versus cable rope tricep extensions. You got to keep one, you got to choose, and you got to kill one. What do you got?
For me, this one's kind of easy. I would use the rope. There's constant tension the whole time. It's a little bit easier on the elbows. It's just a more natural movement in my opinion. I'm biased. Anytime I do skull crushers, it just wrecks my elbows. I know Rich is a huge fan of them. But personally, I think the rope pushdowns are just a better exercise for beginner, intermediate, advanced. There's constant tension because you're using the cable. We're both huge fans of using the cable. And for me personally, I think it feels better, and I think it's just it's a slightly better hypertrophy exercise.
Yeah, that's I'm going cable rope tricep extension as well. I think we're 5 for 5 right now, which is pretty crazy. I think Sean said it best, and especially his very first line. There's just more tension throughout the range of motion. Now there's really not a ton of tension when you extend the bottom part of the cable because the line of force does kind of go parallel to the training joint, but still get a little bit more compared to like a skull crusher, where if you have that end range at the finish there's really no tension at all, and all the tension is kind of that bottom to mid position. So very slightly cable rope tricep extension, but I'm probably a little bit closer than Sean is when it comes to that one there. All right, moving on to quads. So we're speaking from quads here. Barbell squat versus hack squats.
Are we talking like heel elevated barbell squat?
No heel elevated. So let's go normal.
Definitely hack squat then.
Okay.
Anytime you're trying to build quads, the name of the game here is knee flexion. Ideally, you want to get your hamstrings as close to your calves as possible. With the hack squat, if you're doing it correctly, you're going to maximize that knee flexion. It allows you to get into a position that is completely unnatural if you're doing a regular barbell squat. So unless you're naturally quad dominant, unless you have your anatomy that is going to allow you to squat a lot more vertical with the barbell squat, the majority of people are going to get much more quad activation from the hack squat. Both great exercises. Now you can manipulate the barbell squat like I was asking them before. I might change my answer for that, but just a basic barbell squat compared to a hack squat, I think it's pretty simple for me. It's a hack squat.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you in the spot here then. Heel elevated barbell squat quickly versus hack squat. Would you change your answer?
Yeah, heel elevated. For
okay,
sure.
So I would. This is the one we probably disagree with then. Let's say heel elevated. I would choose the hack squat over the heel elevated barbell squat or the barbell squat. The reason being is just stability. And I think anytime you're trying to grow a muscle, your best friend is stability. And in a hack squat, your back is just kind of loaded against that pad. When a barbell squat, heel elevated, whether it might be or not, your spine just gets a lot more work, and that might fatigue first before your quads actually do. So that's why I give this slight edge to the hack squat, because there's more stability and there's less effort required for the full body.
The only argument I would say there is if your calves and ankles are super tight, the hack squat could still limit you, right? Whereas if you elevate the heels, you take that equation away. So it depends. If you have super tight calves, the hack squat can actually be a problem. Whereas if you elevate the heels on a barbell squat, you're going to basically get rid of that and really target the quads. That would be the only exception, but his point is very valid.
Fair point. All right, we're going to do glutes right now. So I got a bit of a tough one again. Romanian deadlifts versus hip thrust, barbell hip thrust. I'm sure you knew this was coming.
Yes, for me, this is like a no-brainer. It's very easy. It's clearly Romanian RDLs for sure. I think the majority of muscle gets built during the stretch position. You're going to get a lot more of a stretch position, obviously, with the deadlift, especially the RDL compared to the hip thrust. I also cannot stand the hip thrust personally, just like anecdotally doing. I don't like the way it feels. And I can't tell you if I've ever seen a grown man doing a hip thrust at the gym, personally. Maybe it happens at Rich Gym all the time. It's a good exercise. Don't get me wrong. I know what the EMGs state. Like, I know there's a lot of really good benefits to the hip thrust, but I think the RDL is arguably the king of all exercises. It's going to crush your glutes. It feels a lot better. It's a lot more beginner-friendly. It's not as uncomfortable as the hip thrust. So for me personally, and what I would recommend to my clients, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm curious what your answer would be.
This guy's throwing shade at the hip thrust here, right?
Yeah,
throwing shade. I'm going hip thrust, guys. If we're talking pure glute development, you are locked in there. Like, that's a fair point. You said in more of a stretch position. Let me ask you this: what can you lift more in a hip thrust or an RDL?
For sure. Are you talking about the machine or the barbell, though? Because you're not locked in with the barbell.
No, barbell. You're locked in, though.
Not really. I think a lot of people struggle.
Okay, so what can you lift more, though? Barbell hip thrust versus barbell RDL?
For me, personally, very similar. I know that's rare. I know most people, to be fair, most people can do a hip thrust.
Seriously?
Way more. Yeah, I can't stand it. I just hate the exercise, personally.
Because I can barbell hip thrust about 4 plates per side. I can RDL, 2 plates comfortably for like 10, so...
Fair. RDL compared to conventional, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so that's why I think I would go, guys, hip thrust. I just think it causes a lot less fatigue in the body, too. Like, recovery is a real thing. Like, if you're just constantly loading heavy RDLs and you can't recover from that, I think that's going to affect your muscle growth, and that's, it's been proven with that. And I just think you can load the hip thrust a lot more, like I said, and you're just going to be a lot more fresh and recovered compared to an RDL. So that'd be my take on it. But RDL is still a great glute exercise, in my opinion, but this is where we probably disagree the most for this one, I would say.
It's tight. Also, it depends on the person. The people that love the hip thrust love the hip thrust. Myself and a lot of clients that I program it for, they either don't feel it where they should. Maybe they'll feel it in the quads because their setup's wrong, hamstrings, calves. Not everyone gets a great feeling out of it. If you enjoy it and you feel it, I think it could be elite. But in my opinion, it's just not for everyone.
All right, last one, guys. And I want you to let us know before, we check this out here. Who do you think is winning in our debate right now? Let us know in the comments below. Who do you think is winning between Sean or myself or even Bubs? I know he's voiced his opinion a few times. The last one, guys, is going to be more of like a movement pattern. So I'm going to give you 2 right now. You got to keep one, you got to kill one. Walking lunges versus Bulgarian split squats. And let's go dumbbells for both.
Walking lunges, Bulgarian split squats. Okay. I thought you were going to go hamstrings here. I would definitely rather do walking lunge, but I think if we're just talking about hypertrophy, you almost have to go Bulgarians. It's a miserable exercise, and I think the reason that I'm going to go with this, and I also think Rich is going to go with this, is because of stability. The fact that you have a lot more stability, you're kind of anchored in once you're in that set position. You can load up the weight a little bit more. You get extra range of motion because of the deficit. You can adjust. You want to hit your quads. You want to hit your glutes. It's just very versatile. Miserable exercise to do, but there's no arguing that it is an elite exercise. So I think they're both amazing. If I had to choose, I got to go Bulgarians.
Yeah, I'm slightly Bulgarians also. Like for the reason Sean said, stability. I am a big component in terms of stability and effort. That's kind of why I chose the hack squat over the barbell squat. I think you get more stability for less effort, and that's the same reason why I'm going to pick the Bulgarian over the walk-in lunge. You get more stability, like Sean said, and I think it's just less effort to do, subjectively speaking. Like Bulgarians are tough.
I don't know about that.
Really? Because like I just find when you're walking lunges, holding those weights, going back and forth, there's just more movement, right? Where Bulgarians, it might burn more, but I think it's less like total effort, if that kind of makes sense. You disagree with that?
I know what you're saying. It's more systemically fatiguing, but the Bulgarians, there's way more time under tension. Like you get no chill, there's no break. So
that's fair.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, they're both they're both rough guys. Both not fun to do in my opinion. But we're done. Bubs, do you have anything to say here, bud? No,
nope.
He's got nothing. Please like and subscribe, guys, if you enjoyed this video. And like I said, let us know like who you think won the debate between Sean and I in terms of picking the best exercises. We're out.